Hey, what's good, everybody? Hope you guys are all well. I know I haven't made a video in a while. I have more podcast episodes coming soon, so just stay tuned. I've taken a little break. As you guys know, this year I wrote and published 2 books. I finished the whole album. I haven't released it yet, but that took a lot of time, so it's just been a very productive and busy year. I'm really excited about all these things that I've accomplished this year, right? But anyways, this video is gonna be a little different. I don't usually get into like conspiracy kind of stuff, but it's not a conspiracy, right? Because I'm gonna show you, I took a picture of this thing that I'm gonna talk about, and it's super hot right now, so I'm gonna try to make this video real quick. So even in my book or different things, I've talked about how I've always been shown things, right? Even before I realized I had like these strong spiritual gifts, I was already shown things through just weird. I was always in the right place at the right time, or information fell on my lap, and that's how it was too so by the time I read about conspiracies and all that, I had already experienced a lot of stuff, or just weird stuff that I would happen to be there at just crazy times that I had all this knowledge, right? Always at the right place at the right time, right? So anyways, this thing that happened, I woke up like at midnight, it's super hot. I was just freaking not able to sleep. I think it was like the first night that it just really got hot. I turned on the TV. It was like just past midnight, and I think I fell asleep watching Friends or something, because I don't know. I think it's a good show, right? It's funny. But I was scrolling past those channels to get to like where all the movies are and stuff, and it said Hamster and Gretel, right? Something like that. And then it was like the Disney cartoons, or I don't know if it's still the Disney Channel, but it was like the Disney cartoons or whatever. So since it said Hamster and Gretel, I know like Hansel and Gretel. So I was like, I wonder what this is about. So I clicked to it. And then it had an episode with like spaceships and Area 51, all this alien stuff. So it interested me, since I just wrote a book that said my contact with UFOs and God, aliens, all this stuff, or whatever I put on the title. Angels, God, UFOs, all this stuff. So it got my attention, obviously. And then all of a sudden, I guess it's about the hamster or the little girl. They have superpowers or whatever, right? And then the little hamster's playing cards, right? So that's already suspect, because after I saw this cartoon is #1 for kids 6 to 11 years old. So all that already, right? Like a little hamster's gambling, right? I mean, maybe they've always put that kind of stuff in cartoons. I guess you just don't notice when you're little. But why are even showing gambling, right? With kids from ages 6 to 11, right? That's the #1. It's #1 for ages 6 to 11, right? So anyways, the little hamster's over here playing freaking cards, and then he ends up winning. And when the hamster wins, he puts down the cards, and it says 666. And I was like, what? And then I rewind it. And then after that, I take a picture, but then I realized it said like, and I'm gonna put it right here. It says King 666. So I just thought, like, why put that in a cartoon, right? Like, it doesn't even make sense, because it's just so deliberate. Why are you putting King 666? Like, was the guy that drew it out or something trying to say like, oh, Satan is king or some shit? Like, that's kind of what you would get from it, right? Yeah, I'm part of my language, but whatever. Obviously, I get passionate with things like, because I've always known, right? Like I've mentioned before, like even in college, I took, marketing, sales, freaking promotion. What is it? Advertising, sales, and promotion, marketing. I got A's in all those classes. And everything was separated. Like, our advertising was one class, sales and promotions was another class, marketing is another class. So, I got A's in all stuff. I learned about how everything matters, right? All the subconscious stuff that they're feeding you, everything matters. So, you are being brainwashed, right? Always. It's always something, right? At least with commercials, we know it's obvious. They're trying to sell you, like, there's this big Burger King commercial, and so I don't know if it's the same jingle for English as it is in Spanish, but the Spanish one, I just can't get it out of my freaking head. It's like, I think it is the same as in English as in Spanish, right? It's BKs, da da da. I think it is, right? I forgot how they sang it in Spanish, but that melody is just stuck in my head, right? Obviously, with commercials, we know they're trying to sell you a car, they're trying to sell you fast food, they're trying to get you to use their freaking pharmaceuticals. We know that. But with cartoons, why? Why are you already trying to brainwash kids with that kind of stuff, right? Like, why the subliminal? And I always known, it's like parents, the whole war, and you gotta, like a war, right? Like, there's always a war going on. And with wars, right, it's blatant, right? It's out there. Like, when they invaded Iraq, they're trying to get resources, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do so many things. There's obviously a lot of conspiracy theories on why the invasion, but nonetheless, they were trying to get something, right? We know with wars, it's not about, freedom and this and that. They're actually trying to get something, right? There's always a hidden agenda, which becomes revealed pretty quickly, right? It doesn't take a genius to look. It's just like, if you're like one of those people that just watches the news and you believe everything, then that's when you're like, you just go with you're like the sheep going off the cliff, right? But if you just dig a little, you'll find out, okay, this country has this resource, so that's why they're really invading it, right? So with war, it's like that. But with these kind of wars, when they're trying to brainwash kids at such a young age, it's like, and then the fact that it's Disney, we already know Disney's suspect because all the stuff they're confusing kids with nowadays, right? So for some people, it'll be like, oh, Disney's champions in this, but it's not champions. They're causing confusion because luckily I'm old enough that I saw the difference, right? I guess for the new generation, it's like, oh, when you're born into something, it's different. But when you're old enough to have seen, well, kids weren't losing their minds when I was growing up. There weren't school shootings. There weren't this. There weren't that. They weren't confused about the other things, right? That, nobody wants to talk about because, people get all freaking butthurt, right? But it's the truth, right? I'm old enough to have seen that. So just the fact of already implementing that, it's pretty interesting. Why? Why put in a cartoon of a hamster and a kid? Why put that the little hamster plays and it's 666, right? So blatant. And then, I don't know, for me, it was like if a Disney exec was like, well, I don't know why they did that. Doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's like, why you're doing whatever you're doing, right? Whatever. Just like before when they said, like, even in the, what was it, in the Lion King, that the cloud said sex or whatever. So we could brush it off to just, oh, it's these sick animators or the people that are doing the animation or the people drawing. Oh, it's just them. It's always them. But when something's so blatant, it's like someone caught it. You know what I'm saying? Someone saw it. You know what I'm saying? So just that, right? Like, it disturbed me, right? Even though it's so out in the open now. I've worked on a show before in person and actually, like, we sign all this stuff. We're not supposed to like disclose it, but I think it's just before the show even comes out, right? And then there was all these hidden symbolisms all around, right? And once I brought it up, all the other adults were like, yeah, this is nothing. I've seen worse on other shows and this and that, right? But nothing is done by accident with these things. Just like that, the whole 616 is way longer than what I planned to make it. I'm already sweating because it's hot, and if I have the fan on, you could hear it in the camera, right? But I just wanted to make that. Let me know what you think about it, right? Maybe you don't think about it. Maybe you don't care, right? But like I said, this whole war thing, it's always going to be the parents. At the end of the day, no one's going to feel sorry for anyone, right? No one's going to feel sorry for, like, oh, my kids did this. It's like when there's a school shooter. No one says, oh, poor parents, this and that. Like, it's like, damn, the kid shot up a freaking school. Why didn't you catch it? Or why this or that, right? Like, every parent is like, that is the most important job as a parent, right? To guide these kids in the right direction. And, after you can make all of the excuses in the world, at least you could feel good as a parent. If you raise them up to the time when they leave your house and you raise them good, then you should feel proud. And then from there, what happens, like, maybe you instilled, because that's the whole point, right? To instill a strong enough foundation so they don't make those mistakes, Unfortunately, back then, there weren't all the distractions, right? But that's the war, right? That's the war as a parent. Are you going to be so caught up in your little devices and this and that, then when the kids do some stuff, you're just going to be like, oh, wow, whatever. So all these things, because that's my whole point to the war. Something's always going to be trying to influence them. It don't have nothing to do with religious stuff. You guys already know I'm very outspoken against, like, organized religion and all that stuff. So stuff like that, right? I know I must be pouring sweat right now in the video, but whatever. I just want to finish it. So anyways, there's a war, right? So there's little subliminal things going on. We know subliminal things, or your subconscious mind actually can affect you even more than your the physical, right? Because when you're aware of things, you like you see it and you don't pay it no mind, but for some reason, your subconscious will be getting stuff that you had no, you know, just like that freaking BK commercial or whatever. Just because it played enough times, it's stuck in my head now. And it's not that I necessarily pay attention to it. It just got recorded in there, right? So it's like that. Like the kids watching these cartoons, it's maybe sending them subliminal messages. King, 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 666, right? Like that's the king, right? Get ready for that. Like they're trying to brainwash them. Like this is the way of the world, right? Things like that. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but maybe so was the person that put it in there subliminally, right? Or not subliminally, but you know, of course, since it's from ages 6 to 11, why would they think that parents are even gonna watch to stop their kids from watching it? Why would you know what I mean? Because it's from. So are parents gonna, or usually do they just leave their kids watching it and then they go off and they're doing whatever, whether they're cooking or cleaning or just on their damn phones, not paying attention to what the kids are watching because they think, like nothing could possibly happen while my kid's watching this, right? But lo and behold, they're getting subliminal things, subliminal messages put into their heads. And down point sweat now, so I'm just gonna end this. Thank you. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I guess, you know, remember, it's a war. So either you're going to influence your kids or someone else is. And we already see how that's been going, right? At least I'm old enough to tell you from seeing how it was when I was growing up to seeing now, I don't have to live with blinders on. Like, I'm not delusional like, oh, I didn't see the war going on. I didn't constantly see the bombardment of someone brainwashing people, right? I saw the whole shift. I experienced it. I lived between both worlds, you know, before this new, you know, everything, just everything, right? Before this whole shift. And some people could, you know, they could fight that, oh no, this is the way it was supposed to be, but not everything, right? There's a lot of things that were, it's all brainwashing and stuff like that. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Peace.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you're just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You're just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.